Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mic Check with Mr. Anderson, and today we go back to 2005 to relive Ken's time in OVW. Ken, you looking forward to this episode?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a minute since I've even really put on my thinking cap and thought too much about my time there, but it really was special. I'm glad. I'm happy that I had it.
I think around that time, like if you look at some of the greatest GOATs now in WWE, a lot of them, like I would say, 70% all came from OVW. I mean, it was essentially the feeder for the Ruthless Aggression era. John Cena, Batista, Shelty B, Brock Lesnar,
Orton.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, the Basham brothers, you name it, they came through OVW.
Mm-hmm.
Even like Mark Henry got sent to OVW. Big Show got sent to OVW for a while to like get polished up.
Yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is like when you're there, right? Everybody is clamoring and attempting to make it to the main roster. It's like that's all you think about. Like, I just want to be up on the active roster. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. And Al Snow said to us, he's like, I understand that mentality. I know that you guys want to get out of here. He said, but just remember this. He said, this is the most fun you will ever have in the business. And this is the least amount of stress you will ever have in the business. So enjoy this time. I know that you want to get up on the road. I know you want to be on Smackdown or Raw, but just know that enjoy your time here. And I'm glad I did. At the same time, I agree, but I also disagree because like I had some amazing times on the active roster, but my time in OVW was pretty awesome, and everybody was looking out for everybody. And yeah, I met some great people. Still friends to this day, and I'm still part of a Facebook Messenger group of like Mickey James and yeah, all those guys.
Phenomenal. You mentioned Al Snow there. He right now is the guy leading the charge in OVW, if I'm right. So as a 90s kid growing up, Al Snow to me was on TV, had great character, great performer. And then towards the Ruthless Aggression era, you saw less of him on TV, and then you realize the older you get that he was actually helping lead the way for a lot of the up and coming stars. What was it like working under Al Snow and having him as a trainer?
So Al was Al's a great guy. Like, he's a good friend of mine today. Al is, if anybody's ever watched the Netflix series titled Wrestlers, it's funny because like nothing is scripted there. That's Al Snow. And one of the things that stood out to me was the money guy there, the money mark guy.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's like, the whole time he's like, I just want him to pat me on the back. I want him to tell me that I'm doing a good job, and he just won't do it. And I can relate 100%, man, because like Al was just always super stiff.
Yeah,
like he would critique you, and then you'd be like, but do I get a little pat on the back? Nope. Well, you should have done this. But I just I learned so much from him, and he's big on like the thing about Al also is funny is he's very particular. There's one way to do it, it's like, what would you do? And then I kind of joke with some friends about how when he'll ask a question, he'll be like, what is the job of a heel? And I'll say, and then like, no matter what the answer is, it's no.
Yeah.
It's to do this, and it's like, well, there's multiple answers. The job of a heel is not just to make the baby face. It's to do all kinds of things, it's to get sympathy on the baby face. It's to put asses in seats. It's like, there's a bunch of different facets. but only his one is correct, you know.
I actually binged hours and hours of his content. I actually got to meet him as well. A couple of years back in Glasgow, he was at a convention, and Al Snow's one of those guys that can just drop so much wrestling wisdom. I feel like I'm a student when I watch one of his like, it'll be like a shoot type interview, or it'll be him talking, and he gets the wee trainees up, and he'll be like, right, okay, and he'll ask them a simple question, and like you say, the answer is always wrong, and then it goes into like a 45-minute tirade of why everything is the way it is, and it makes so much sense. And sometimes, like, even though I'm someone that I think I understand wrestling because I've watched it my whole life, even when I'm watching Al Snow talk about the most simplest parts of wrestling, I feel like I've just learned something.
He's fantastic, and he's like you said. There's a bunch of videos of him conducting seminars on YouTube that I would highly recommend that people go and watch.
Yeah.
If you are a student of the game, you need to get yourself in front of Al Snow and learn a thing or two. He's got a great mind for the business, and the fact that he was the trainer. It was funny because like he and Lance Storm would sort of trade off. I remember at the time, Lance would come for 2 weeks at a time, and Al would only be there for 1 week at a time. And then Lance lived in Canada, so he would go home for a week, and then he would come back. Or maybe it was vice versa. Maybe it was Al was there for 2 weeks and Lance was there for a week. I can't remember exactly, but they were dividing their time. So it was kind of nice to get different perspectives. I mean, you automatically had different perspectives in that you had Danny Davis there and Rip Rogers and Jim Cornette, plus all of the veterans that had been there. You know, there were people in OVW when I got there who had been there for 3 or 4 years trying to make it to the active roster to no avail.
We know that when you make it to OVW, that is essentially your launching pad. But for yourself, Ken, for any aspiring wrestler, you can usually look at one match and go, there's the match that got me hired. Was there a specific match for you? Because even when Dylan Postel, Hornswoggle, was on this show, he mentioned that, I'm working with Ken Anderson, and everybody in the scene knew that you were ready for that jump to OVW, to WWE. It's like and I've experienced it myself when a wrestler shows up on an independent show. You're like, they're on their way too. It was the same with Drew, Joe Henry. So obviously there was that chat about yourself, but can you pinpoint one part of your independent career on your way up where you were like, that's where I was, that's what got me to WWE, to OVW?
I do. I can remember it vividly. I was doing extra work. I had been booked as an extra on it was either a Raw or it was SmackDown, because we were supposed to do it on a Monday for Raw, and for whatever reason, time expired. We couldn't get in the ring, so we ended up doing it on a Tuesday. But Arn said, hey, I'm going to have you and Daivari. So Daivari was already hired. And I remember like Daivari was able to, we would sit around, I'd be standing there ringside with him. And the interesting, nice thing that occurred when I was trying to make it to WWE that doesn't occur today, unfortunately, is you would get to the building, get in your gear, and go to ringside. And like there would be a seminar basically going on. It would be Fit Finley, it would be Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, all those guys just working with, and it was normally Charlie and Shelton who were just trying to like up their game. And Arn would be in the ring just putting on a clinic. They do this, and like, here's a little thing that you can do as a heel. And just talking about different ways of selling and stuff like that. So anyway, Fit one time pointed to me and Daivari and said, you and you get in the ring, go. And so Daivari was just like, listen to me, kid, which is funny because like, he's like 9 years younger than me. But we had worked with each other so much. We had so much stuff. We had worked with each other probably 60 to 70 times on the independent scene. We rode together. We were roommates. Like we spent countless hours just discussing wrestling. Like, and he just sort of called the match, and we had a really basic, simple 5-minute match. And afterwards, Arn said, "Hey, kid, I'm going to tell you this. I don't say this to many people." He said, "But the next time, I can't promise you anything, but the next time that there's a round of hiring and they ask for our opinion, I'm putting your name in the hat."
Wow.
So that was it. He goes, "What you did with that kid today." And then, like, he tried to get me to have another match where John Laurinaitis was there and possibly Vince, and it just never materialized. There just wasn't enough time. Those guys were too busy. But that was it. You know, that was the straw.
Yeah. And when you left that building that day, were you like, yes, that was just Arn Anderson telling me I've got a job in the biggest wrestling company in the world.
But
like,
no.
I
remember thinking like, okay, that's cool, but like I still don't have a job.
Yeah.
And it ultimately doesn't matter. Arn doesn't hire people.
Yeah. Still mad praise though, right?
You know?
Yeah. When you think about
it. Yeah, it was cool to hear that praise and like I'm doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
But I need that. That's not Johnny Ace. I want Johnny Ace or Vince himself to say that to me. And then I'll know I'm on the right path. But
and then from that point, do you just wait on a call? And is that call from?
It's just always waiting, right? And I used to call. So during my time of trying to make it to WWE, I went through Kevin Kelly was originally the guy who was in charge of extra talent. Then it was Dr. Tom Pritchard, and then it was Tommy Dreamer. And Tommy ultimately gave me my job. But all of that time, I remember messaging or contacting Dr. Tom and saying, like, what do I need to do? And he said, "Kid, if I could tell you, I would. And to be honest with you, if we could bottle it and sell it, we would, but we just don't know. We don't know what we're looking for, but we know when we see it. And so just keep doing what you're doing, which is the fucking worst thing to hear. Keep doing what you're doing, kid." But it's true. Just keep trying different things. Keep working on your craft. Keep getting better. Keep getting bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah.
So at this point, you then, I imagine you then get the call, which. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So then I'm forgot where we were going there. But, so I remember one weekend, Daivari messaged me. So after I had that conversation with, and then I also had a similar conversation with Dreamer. And he said that, they like you. I know Arn likes you, but I know Paul loves you. Just sit tight. And so I'm waiting for that call. And, at the time, I remember I had probably bill collectors calling me. Every time there was a number that I didn't recognize, hello, is this Ken Anderson? Nope. Click. If it was, like I'm waiting for Tommy to call me. And so Daivari called me and he said, "Did you get a call from the office?" And I said, "No, why?" So, well, they just hired 7 guys from Louisville. So at the time, there were all kinds of people who had just moved themselves to Louisville and go to OVW. You could just like show up there and jump into the amateur class. They would sort of let you, if you proved yourself you were a decent worker, you could just kind of start working in. But you wouldn't be paid. And the mentality at the time was like, don't do that, because if you're already there for free, there's no reason they would want to hire you. So it's kind of a catch-22. So he goes, they just actually hired 7 guys that were there in the amateur class from Louisville. And I remember thinking, motherfucker, they again, so I'm kind of frustrated, but I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. And I remember I worked a match that weekend in Green Bay. And I was actually a cage match. I stupidly did a swanton off the top of the cage onto the guy that I was working. And then stupidly, the guy poked me in the eyes. Literally, both fingers touched my brain.
Oh,
to this day, I have like blood, like there's a, like you can see where like my whole eye just bright red. And Monday comes, nothing. Tuesday comes, nothing. So Wednesday was generally the day that I would, if I called Dreamer, that would be the day, because there was TV on Monday, Raw, obviously on Monday. Tuesday was SmackDown, and then Wednesday was the day they'd get back in the office. So I would call them like noon or 1 o'clock, and that's when I would talk. And I remember I called, I waited. I'm like, I'm going to wait till Wednesday. I ended up on my break at work. I was a personal trainer. And I called him, and generally speaking, if he was busy, he would just say like, I can't talk right now, and I'll call you back, which he would never call me back. You know, I always had to be the one to initiate the call, and which is good advice for people. Don't ever wait for a call back. Don't ever sit tight. So I called, and then he was like, hey, hang on a second. Ken Anderson. I could hear like shuffling some papers around. I was like, oh, this is going differently than it's ever gone before. And then, he goes, I've been trying to call you, but your number is disconnected. And I was like, no, it's not. Is your number blah, 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 blah? No. Oh, I've been calling the wrong number. Well, the reason I was calling you was to tell you that I got you a job.
Wow.
And it was just like that. That's the way he told me. And he goes, if you hadn't called me, I was about an hour away from calling the next person on the list, because I just was assuming that you just weren't calling me back, and that I couldn't get in touch with you. So I'm glad that I made that phone call. And then, and then he told me, he said, they were opening up Deep South at the time. Deep South had just been announced, which was the developmental offshoot that they were opening up in Atlanta. But it hadn't opened yet, and there was no actual hard date when they were going to open. And he goes, I don't know if we're going to send you to Deep South or if we're going to send you to OVW. Just sit tight. And he goes, do you have anything else you want to say to me? And I was like, man, I just want to let you know, dude, like, appreciate you and thank you for having faith in me, and I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to prove you right. And he goes, okay, you don't have to go getting all lame on me. Stop it. And I was just like, boom, got punched in the nuts, like wind out of my sails. So
damn.
So then fast forward, I called Davari right away, told him, dude, I'm getting a job. Here's what he said. And he was like, don't go to Deep South. You do not want to go to Deep South because it's not unestablished. OVW has been around for, 10 years. They're established. That's where you want to go. There's no telling that Deep South even actually gets off the ground. Like they might cancel it before it ever gets opened up. So he happened to have a really good working relationship with Dreamer, and contacted him and said, hey man, you should send Ken to OVW. And Dreamer agreed to it. Said, okay, that's cool. I'll send him there. And so Davari contacted me. He goes, Dreamer, call him and make sure. But he just told me that he would send you to OVW. And I called him and he said, yes, but I just don't know when I'm going to send you there. So, okay, cool. So immediately I put in my 2 weeks notice I literally walked out of I think I did a backflip, and then I walked out and I walked up to my boss and I said, I just got hired. I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice, which they were really cool. They were super supportive of me doing it. They were happy. They were excited for me.
They get the selfies with you.
What's that?
Did they get the selfies with you? We knew first.
Well, and then you know what? And the funny thing is like later on, after I got up on the active roster, and we would do shows in Green Bay, they would come. I always got them tickets to the show, and
that's good.
Yeah, I kept in touch with all those guys. So then I immediately Davari had lived in Louisville, and I remember I had visited him one time, and I knew where he lived. And I contacted that apartment complex and found out what the rent was going to be, and just put I needed a 1-bedroom apartment, put down the down deposit, put down the first month's rent, hired a U-Haul. And I literally, like, I had given my 2 weeks, and then I just decided, like, I'm moving, like, within a couple days. And like 3 or 4 days later, I was moving all my stuff. I hired a U-Haul. I rented a U-Haul and a car carrier, and I put my car up on the car carrier and started my way to Louisville. And the funny thing is like, we just get into Louisville, we take the exit, and I felt like we kind of went over a curb. Like, I just felt one of those deals, right?
Just a cyclist.
And 20 points. And I remember my girlfriend at the time was following me in a car, and I was just like, I'm here. You know, my cell phone, I think, was dead because it had been so many hours on the road. And I remember, like, pulling up at the complex, or pulling up to the apartment complex, and she pulled up next to me, and she went like this. She went, and I, what? She's like, get out. And I, like, got out, and I walked back, and my fucking car was gone.
Where did it end up?
It fell off. That bump that it just fell off at an intersection.
You never saw it in the rear view, no? Nope. Did you get it back?
Yeah, but in the fall, when it fell off, it like broke. You know, it broke the catalytic converter or something like that. No. Like, something snapped. So I barely got that thing back to the apartment complex. What a crazy, what a way to start off the whole process, right?
That's hilarious. Did you not feel lighter when you're driving? You know?
What's that?
Did you not feel, hey, this feels a bit lighter, and I can get up the gears a bit? No? Oh, no. Wow.
It didn't feel any different to me.
That's crazy.
The car was relatively light anyways. You know, it was like a Volkswagen Jetta or something like that. It was a pretty small, lightweight car. And so I get moved in, and this is on a Tuesday. And I contacted Dreamer. I called Dreamer right after I finished. Like, the U-Haul is still sitting in the parking lot. And I called him, and I was like, hey, they tape TV on Wednesdays, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, is there any way that I could stop in there tomorrow and, like, introduce myself? And he goes, why, are you there, like, looking at an apartment? And I go, no, I live here. And he was like, you live there? I was like, yeah, I'm all moved. I'm here. Really? Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You can go introduce yourself tomorrow. You know, he told me how to get there. He said, go to the back door, knock on it. Somebody will come and answer, and introduce yourself. And then he goes, if you're there, you can start on Thursday.
Wow.
And that was it. Like, now, had I just waited at home, had I sat tight, we might not be having this conversation. And here's the interesting thing. There were a couple guys that I knew from the independents who had gotten contracts and were told sit tight, and then they would sit home for like a year or 8 months or 9 months, and then they'd just get released. They'd have like a cost cutting, you know, once a year they do that big sweep. And why are we paying this guy $500 a week? We haven't used him. We haven't seen him. There's just no reason to. So,
damn.
So if that ever happens to anybody, don't sit tight.
Yeah, I think John Cena was another one on JR's podcast. He talked about given Cena a contract and then asking him to look at apartments, and Cena had said, I already have, I'm here. And JR says that's the number one thing and the wrestling business you can be is reliable, dependable, right? The less work they've got to put into looking after you, the more advantageous it is for your career. With regards to your old job, and then now going into the developmental of WWE, did you see a significant increase or decrease in what your wage would be? So did you take a cut to go and work at WWE? No, even at the entry level.
It was $500 a week, $500 a week. That's what I made. So and my rent was probably $1,000 or $1,200 a month, and I'm sure my rent was probably $1,200 a month, and then you had all the other expenses. You had to get gear, had to get food, and pay for utilities and cell phone and all that stuff. So like there wasn't a whole lot. I remember like being at the grocery store and being at the checkout and, well, do we put the dish soap or the potatoes back? Like
yeah. Damn.
That kind of stuff.
So straight away, it's like people always assume when you're hired to WWE, you're making the big bucks. Even I think it's still the same. Even now in NXT.
Even when I think like NXT, from what I gathered, like they got pretty good contracts there, like $65,000 minimum guarantee. That's a pretty good wage for starting. I think that trumps what college graduates are getting. You come out of college, like I don't think you make $65,000.
No,
US, and up to $100,000, I believe, is what a lot of, I think the people that you see on TV at NXT are probably making $100,000 a year. That would be my guess.
And they've got merchandise as well, though, haven't they, for NXT? So you probably get a slice of that, wouldn't you?
We'll see. I don't know. That might be part of your contract is you don't get any of it. And it's one of those deals where like take it or leave it. That's a terrible deal. Because what if you're the guy that, or the girl that everybody's buying your merch?
Jim Cornette, from listening to what he says, OVW was actually a TV, like it was a syndicated TV show. Yeah. So did you ever get a cut of what was coming in as an OVW worker at all? Nothing.
No.
Just you get paid your weekly and that's it.
Yeah, we should go over. I have a contract somewhere. My first contract, like I've had attorneys go over the contract after the fact, and they're just like, I can't believe that you signed this. Like this is crazy. And it was like, I didn't have a choice. There was nowhere else to work.
Yeah,
this is the end all be all. What do you do?
You should actually get David Otunga on the episode where you want to look at contracts and just email him over a copy of it. And you can both talk about, because he's been doing that recently with different, even Andrade had left AEW, had left WWE and went straight on AEW, and then they were like, get him off. I think WWE sent something to AEW and was like, he's under contract still. But it was like he could work elsewhere, but not in the the US, sorry. So David Otunga recently had a look at that contract and says, here's where it all, So it'd be pretty interesting to see if you could dig out some of those contracts to see just how good or bad you might have had it back then and how yours compares to David Otunga. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Are you friends with David Otunga? Friendly?
I don't think I've ever met him.
I'm sure he'd probably come.
I'm sure it would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So you're now through the door in OVW. You're making ends meet. Do you have to get and the reason I ask you these questions as well is because many of the people that watch this show are aspiring wrestlers and might gain something from listening to your journey. But do you, and I think Ryback had said that he and Pat Buck at the time when they were in developmental still worked other jobs. Did you have to work another job whilst being at OVW, or did you just kind of make it work?
No, I probably could have.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was like, I just want to put all my effort into this. And I feel like working another job, I just, the thing is like, you need to be available 24/7. If WWE or if OVW wanted me to go somewhere or do something, I needed to be able to do that. So
yeah. And how did you adapt to that type of, like, I'm a guy that's never moved from Scotland. So for me to think about if I got a call from WWE tomorrow and they were like, we want you to do this job for us, you need to move here. Like the thought of that quite terrifies me because I believe in everything I know. How was that for you to just go, right? I know it's probably different because you're chasing your dream job and this is like the start of that. But how did you, like, you're away from family, you've moved to somewhere you don't know. How did you fit into that? Does that mentally take its toll on you?
no, not for me. I was like, this is what I need to do. I literally could live anywhere in the world. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you need to be versatile like that if you're going to do this job. You just have to be willing to do whatever it takes to make it. You got to make the towns.
Yeah. When you said, you know, I'm here, I'm in the right area. I moved to where OVW is. What does that look like? You walk up to the door of OVW and you walk through. Talk us through how.
I knock on the back door, and Bobby Lashley opens the door. And I went, holy fuck. That's I got some work to do. Hey, how you doing? I'm Ken. I'm here. I'm supposed to start tomorrow. Oh, come on in.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody just went around, introduced myself. Everybody's cool.
Does someone like Cornette come up to you? You know, hi, I'm the guy around here. Like,
no, I think I probably introduced myself to him. It's just sort of what you've been instructed to do. The way it goes is, you know, even if you do extra work at TV, you just walk up to, even if you see somebody having a conversation, just, hey, excuse me, my name is Ken. Nice to meet you. Oh, okay, cool. That's it. Walk off. I remember Batista telling us at my first extra work. He's like, you know, I've been in your shoes before. We've all been in your shoes. Everybody has. Just be cool. Introduce yourself to people. Don't be rude. Don't be a dick.
when we in the UK or just in general life, when we start a new job, we walk in and usually the boss will come up and say, hi, my name's such and such. Here's where you can put your stuff. And then they walk you around and kind of give you a lay land. You do got nothing like that from Danny Davis, Jim Cornette, nothing. You just walk in, you're like, hey, I'm Ken, and you're like, take a seat.
Yeah, just like, what do I do? And then, like, you know, other wrestlers who had done that same exact thing that I did were just like, you know, I got you. You know, Johnny Jeter, I'm reminded, like, he was one that just kind of took me under his wing, like, stick with me, I got you. Took me around, introduced me to people. Okay, you know, this is what we do. This is how TV, this is what happens. This is the process. You know, it's pretty cool.
It's not uncommon for a new superstar to start in the WWE and straight away backs are raised because of jealousy, because of whatever reason, insecurity. When you went to OVW, did you get any kind of vibes from anyone, or was it just a complete brotherhood?
I did not feel that one bit. No, it was quite the opposite. Everybody was just looking out for everybody. You know, we'd do in-ring promos. Just like now it's like, now it's, you've gone from the independent scene where for every guy that has the potential to make it, you've got a dozen other guys that aren't ever going to make it, but are just, you know, they're good enough workers, whatever. But like, now you're dealing with like the best of the independent scene.
Yeah.
That's at OVW. And I think everybody just thought, I've been in this position before. I know what it's like. Yeah. It was very, very, and again, that going back to what Al said earlier, that's what he meant. You know, the brotherhood, the camaraderie. was on point. I never felt like I was walking on eggshells there. Never thought like, oh man, somebody's gonna stab me in the back here. It was just, yep.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be like your first day in high school.
But yeah. But you don't have like, I guess your first day in high school, you still got the seniors and the juniors that are kind of like, yeah, the little freshmen. I'm gonna fucking
hell yeah.
I'm gonna stuff you in your locker, you little freshman. You didn't have that. I didn't have that there.
Oh, we had that. We 100% had that at school in the UK.
I'm saying I had that in high school, but I didn't experience that at OVW.
Oh, that's good. Because usually in high school, you go, okay, you go up to who's the hardest guy here, and then you take your first punch to try and to set this. So I'm like, does that happen in OVW? Do you just go up to Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar and be like, right, bitch,
let's fucking go.
Yeah, I need to let people know what I'm all about. Exactly. So I've got a list here from my extensive research of different superstars that were there at your time, right? This is as reported online and just based on matches that were around, matches that you had. So we're going to go through the list here and just confirm whether or not they were there, right? And if you do have any cool stories, funny stories, please do share. CM Punk, I mean, he was OVW same time as you, right?
Nope.
Was he not?
Well, kind of. Punk came after I had already been called up to the active roster.
So just missed each other.
Remember, but we didn't, because when I did get called up, they would still have me. So I would do the house show loop, which was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then Tuesday was, so the house show loop for SmackDown was Saturday, Sunday, Monday house shows. Tuesday was SmackDown taping. And then Wednesday I would fly back to OVW and I would have to do OVW TV. And then at the time, my father was really ill and not doing well. Mm-hmm. So I would fly back to Green Bay on Thursday and Friday and then fly out again on Saturday morning and do, but so I remember when Punk got brought in right after I got called up, and I did not like him.
Yeah.
We had that experience that we talked about earlier where he sort of buried me at the IWA Mid-South show that I did with Austin Aries. And then I kind of expressed my disdain for him to Paul, who I was very close with. I became really close with him really quickly. And then Paul was like, hey, I think we should all go out and we did. We went out and had sushi, kind of talked it and hashed things out and got to know each other a little bit. And then, okay, this guy's not too bad.
Yeah. The context there for anybody that isn't aware. So it was a match I watched with yourself and Austin Aries. And there's CM Punk and who was the other guy? Was someone we know?
Ace Steel and Dave Prazak on commentary. Yep. They just fucking bury. Both of us. They buried both of us the entire way through. From the time we hit the curtain.
And what do you think the reason being was?
I don't know.
Just to fuck
dicks. Yeah, they were just dicks. It was just it was fun to them.
Yeah. See, being around a lot of people in the independent circuit in Scotland, the type of attitude I heard from them from CM Punk and Ace Steel on the commentary is the same type of shit I would hear people backstage talking about people in the ring at the same time. It's the same type of thing. So I imagine you just put it down to what, like, independent banter, right?
Yep.
So you and Austin Aries are having a match, and they're essentially like just taking the piss while they're, oh look, he's got him, and I think he's got him. Which for me, when I watched it, I was like, it actually takes you away from what's going on in the ring a little bit. Like I think if you're going to claim to be a good commentator or someone that's good at talking, you would never do that, you know?
It was super serious to Austin and I. It was the biggest thing that had happened to us yet in our careers. So we're taking this super serious, and then we hear the commentary, and they're just, like you said, taking the piss. It was really irritating. I remember I was pissed about it for a long time, and then I saw Punk at a show, and I pulled him aside. I pulled him into a room, and I was like, do we have a problem? He was like, what do you mean? And I was like, and then I told him, like, hey, oh man, I'm really sorry. I was going through I was at a bad point in my life, and he gave me what I felt at the time was a pretty genuine apology. There was no yeah, but it was just like, I'm sorry, no excuses. I still didn't like him though. Like, I was like, okay, I accept your apology, but still fuck you.
Yeah. There's, I think everybody's experience of CM Punk in the wrestling industry has mainly been that of Marmite. Do you get Marmite in the US? Do you know what Marmite is?
No, but Anastasia, it's a similar thing to Vegemite, right? Like,
it's the same thing pretty much. I think you either love it or you hate it. There's really little in between. Yeah. So I think.
Do you like it? Are you a fan?
I like it. Yeah. You ever had Twiglets? Twiglets. They're like crisps. They're like knickknacks. Do you have knickknacks in the US? No. Oh man, I need to see when we get together in real life, man. I'm bringing a backpack full of all the greatest Scottish stuff.
Some Twiglets, some Marmite, and some knickknacks.
And Iron Brew.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Iron Brew.
Oh,
love
right.
That.
Yeah.
I've had that before.
Hell yeah. I'm sure that was so Grado and Colt Cabana have had a team called Iron Jew, because I think it isn't Colt Cabana is Jewish, right?
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
It was the Scottish and the Jewish. So and they branded it the same way as Iron Brew. So
well, Colt Cabana's like one of the most brilliant pieces of merchandise is Colt Cabana's T-shirt. One of my favorite T-shirts is instead of I love Colt Cabana, it's I Star of David Colt Cabana.
Beautiful. So Paul Heyman takes you out for sushi, and from there you and Punk develop a friendship, and that's good.
And then we got on after that. We were cool. We actually did some stuff at OVW during that time period. Like I had a match with Punk, and I believe I put him over at the time. I was on TV. I was up on Smackdown, and he was the OVW champion. Put him over. We were cool. We worked well together, and we ended up even riding together when we were on the same roster. He was on ECW, I was on SmackDown roster at the time. So,
brilliant. And did you think at the time as well, was there a rumble? Because I think CM Punk had really the love of the internet wrestling community at the time.
He did, but I honestly, like, it was an uphill battle because the forces that be did not like him.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, Triple H, they did not respect him whatsoever. They thought he was even I remember, like, he would do this thing. I don't know if he still does that.
I do remember that. I've never seen him do it for a long time.
So that was like, I guess, a Muay Thai thing, right? Like, I remember hearing this story, like fucking JBL saying, like, what's that thing you do there with this? And you do that Muay Thai. You do that Muay Thai. And then I guess he was on a flight. I wasn't on this, but it was a flight over to Afghanistan to do tribute to the troops. And like Vince was like, fight Shelton. If you're such a tough guy, fight Shelton. And okay, whatever. So they wrestled around. Obviously, Shelton would
whoop his ass.
Kick his ass. But he at least tried. And I remember hearing also that, like, he didn't drink, and people were like, oh, CM Punk doesn't drink because he thinks he's better than everyone. And nope, I just don't fucking drink. And he stuck to his guns, and everything ended up working out just fine, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. It's I don't think we even need to touch upon just how talented and how larger than life he went on to be in WWE and in the world of sport. The guy is.
Well, you watch, like, he has had one hell of a career before the WWE. The stuff that he was doing in Ring of Honor and some of the independent gigs he was doing. I remember he had like this series of matches with Chris Hero where they did like a 62-minute Broadway, and then they did a 93-minute Broadway, and literally just went out and worked on the fly. Like, nobody has done that type of stuff. He really is a trailblazer in that regard.
For sure. In many ways, he was, for the fans, for guys like me watching WWE, he brought in a time where everything felt quite stale. A lot of things felt quite stale. He brought an element of, I could be that guy. like he's saying how I feel, and no one else is. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think he just
He was
knows.
always great on the mic. You know, like that was just like he would just cut people on the mic, myself included.
That's something we'll definitely need to go back and have a look at your stuff with CM Punk. Another person on the OVW roster, is this correct? The Miz, Mike Mizanin at the time, because he was there
No, Mike.
2006.
I want to say no. I think Mike was at Deep South.
Was he?
He was. Yep. He was never. Yeah. He was at Deep South because. So Mike went through the Tough Enough. He was in Tough Enough, the $1 Million Tough Enough, with what Daniel Pewter ended up winning, and Mike was the runner-up. It came down to, I think it might have been 3 guys, and it was like Daniel Rodimer, Mike Mizanin, and Daniel Pewter, and Pewter ended up winning it. Which it's funny, Pewter ended up being my roommate.
Yes.
At OVW. But they sent Mike to Deep South.
Right. But he did work some Six Flags shows, though, in 2006 for OVW, didn't he?
Did he?
It says here they did. Do you recall that now?
I do not recall him. In 2006?
Yeah.
Well, so I would have been up on the active roster by that,
right.
At that point.
So
I think.
Again, just missed then. Elijah Burke.
Yep. Elijah was there. The Pope. Oh, Daddy, the Pope.
Phenomenal. He had a great run in TNA as well. Aaron the Idol Stevens, Damien Sandow, which people, like when you think about it, this was like 2005, 2006, and we didn't actually see some of his really good stuff till like 2013. So he must have spent quite some time in OVW, and then just kind of.
He was one of those guys that when I got there, he had been there for like 2 years already. Right. Been a really long time. Mm-hmm. So he was sort of, just like a mainstay, a OVW mainstay. Just for whatever reason, it just wasn't clicking. He wasn't finding that niche to get up onto the active roster. But he eventually did. I think when he came up in a tag team with there's another guy from the Midwest, actually. I can't remember his name. But, it was just like kind of a short-lived tag team that they did.
He has like heaps of talent. I find it so unfair that like he's not in WWE anymore, because I thought he was brilliant, funny, but when he wants to be serious,
his comedic timing. Yep.
Yeah, his stuff with the Miz was phenomenal.
I didn't see any of that stuff.
Oh man!
Because when I left WWE, I really never saw any of the Damien Sandow stuff. I had such a chip on my shoulder at the time that I didn't even bother.
The gimmick was that the Miz had just come back from filming like the Marine 300 or something, right? And the Miz comes back and is like, "I'm a movie star," and only the way that the Miz can. And Damien Sandow was like his sidekick. So Vince was like, I want you to be his stunt double. You're going to be kicking about as a stunt double. And then off the cuff, Damien Sandow just started, the Miz would get suplexed. So outside on the apron, Damien Sandow would also take a suplex at the same time from nobody.
Amazing.
Right? Just ridiculous. To the point where Vince is like, backstage. So he's like,
I love it.
Of course. And I thought it was brilliant. But the thing is, see, when he was serious, he was also like very believable. He would kick your ass. He also was one of the Money in the Bank winners that we went to cash in. And I think it was against Cena. And then he never got the job done.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I think was he one of the first, because you lost your case, so you didn't technically lose the championship match, right? But I think Sandow was one of the first to actually cash in and not win the title.
And not win. Wow.
Which was disgusting. Here's someone we don't actually see a lot of, Brent Albright. You were in a tag team with him, right?
Yep, I was. And then he got called up on the active roster right around the same time I did as Gunner Scott. And I remember we actually worked together a little bit on house shows, and it was a little bit of a struggle. It was like, at the time, it was like when I first started working house shows, I was working with Scotty 2 Hotty and Funaki and Booker T and then Bob Holly and like all these established, well-established guys. And then they would stick me with Brent. They would put us together, and it was like we just couldn't click. You know, we didn't have that, like the crowd didn't respect us enough where we could stand on our own. So it was kind of like the blind leading the blind, which is sort of like my critique of what goes on in WWE nowadays, which is why you see a lot of misses and stuff, you know, because you need that well-established person to lead the charge.
Yeah, and give back. You know, it's funny, like a lot of people listening probably won't remember Brent Albright. Why do you think that is? Because he looked the part and he was clearly talented.
Yeah, and he was fantastic. He ended up doing some stuff at Ring of Honor too afterwards, and I believe he was the Ring of Honor champion, NWA. I don't know. And then I think, you know, I still actually keep in touch with Brent from time to time. You know, he's a family man. Good dude. Liked him a lot.
Jim Cornette on his podcast says that he was good, that he was a good wrestler and he had the makings. He says, I think he just had trouble in his personal life to the point it kind of interfered. And that can be a downfall. If, like you say, you were all in, you moved, you know, to be at OVW. Maybe just life gets in the way sometimes, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have kind of a funny story about Brent that I just remembered. We were riding together early on. It was me, Matt Hardy, and Brent Albright were riding together. And he had a triple threat match on SmackDown. And at some point, it was Finley. I don't remember who the third competitor was, but it was Finley, somebody, and Brent, Gunner Scott. And at some point, Fit was on the bottom of so he was getting pinned. And he said that like when Brent went to break up the pin and he stomped on whoever it was that was pinning, Finley was like, "Whoa, brother, I felt that through the pile," you know, like and then I remember we were at dinner that night. We were at like a Denny's or a Perkins or something like that, right? And he's retelling this story and he goes, and Brent told me and Matt, he goes, "It was actually a receipt." Because I guess, you know, Finley had fucking clocked him with something earlier, or maybe Finley would do this, like he'd punch you in the guts sometimes, and he'd actually like lay it in a little bit. He goes, "Actually, it was a receipt." And I remember Matt Hardy leaned in and he goes, "Never fucking say that again to anybody. Don't ever tell that to anybody."
And now everyone knows.
I mean, enough time. I think enough time has passed, and I don't think. I don't think he's planning on going back to WWE anytime soon. But kind of a funny story.
No, that's brilliant. Cody Rhodes, Cody Runnels at the time. Did you cross paths with him in OVW?
Not in OVW, but I did. However, I remember Dusty, because Dusty was one of the producers, you know, introducing me to, "This is my son. This is my son, baby. Take good care of him." And we actually, like, we would travel together. It was me, Randy, Cody, Santino, some variation, Bob Holly too. It's like some variation of all those people whenever, because Cody wouldn't be on every loop of house shows, but when he was, and I've actually got some pictures of me working with Cody. I posted one not too long ago. It's like really, really young Cody Rhodes wearing nothing. He wore black trunks with CR. It's like super, super old school.
Yeah.
Very plain, kind of funny compared to the guy, what he wears today and the pyrotechnics and all that stuff that you see.
He straight out the gate, I really was digging Cody Rhodes, especially when he done the dashing Cody, and then he became like the masked Cody. I've always believed in Cody Rhodes. One thing I think to myself is like, it's one of those things. What do you think, knowing Dusty Rhodes, the time that you spent with him, what do you think he would be feeling right now, seeing just how well not only Cody but Dustin, like really enjoying his career, but like the height that Cody has got? Like, what do you think he would? What would that be like for him?
I always felt like Dusty was a good dad, you know, like Dusty really cared about his kids. He was very, very openly loving. So nothing but love for that guy. And I think he would be, just leaping for joy for what Cody's been able to do. And really, like, you look at what Cody did, he was unhappy, walked away. Like, that was something I wish that I could have done that, honestly. I wish I could have taken Austin's advice and stepped away from it and then, written my own ticket. So, yeah.
It's phenomenal. Like, one of the I think was it Battle. It was a Battleground, was it? And it was the Shield versus Cody, Dustin, and you had Dusty there. And I remember like watching that match and thinking that's where I pointed and went, that's the type of wrestling match that really gets you invested. See, when Cody had Seth Rollins ready for his what's his move again? He still uses it now.
Shake, rattle, and roll looking thing. Cody, the Rhodes,
why has it escaped me?
It's something Rhodes. The Rhodes. The Rhodes Scholar. I don't know.
his finisher. I remember seeing him just grab, and I was like so invested because there's so much history there. I think the Rhodes, like, people are look at Cody right now and see such a main eventer, but Dustin Rhodes, man, growing up watching Goldust, phenomenal. Do you spend a lot of time with Dustin Rhodes at all? No,
I've been on a couple of independent shows with him. Not a whole lot. We know each other. We're friendly with each other, but like I haven't had much of a conversation with him.
No, fair play. So just to quickly run through another.
Although I will tell you this, like, we were doing a show here in Minnesota maybe 2 summers ago, and I had my kids there, and like he just like peeled off 220s for the kids.
Really?
So here, go get yourself some.
Oh,
I don't know him. He's like, here, go get some candy or some soda or whatever. As long as that's okay. Is it okay with you, Dad? Like, yeah, of course.
That's amazing. Seems like a
good dude.
Yeah, yep. Definitely seems it. Another couple people here. Seth Skyfire.
Yep, wrestled Seth. I think he's a stand-up comic nowadays. Like we're friends on Facebook. He gave me a frog splash, landed on my face, and I bit through my tongue, literally all the way through my tongue. But again, sometimes you're gonna get a boo-boo every once in a while. It was an unintentional thing, but that's the one thing I remember about our match.
Damn.
But he was very, he was figured in. He was like a Cornette guy. Cornette loved him, had big aspirations for him.
And it's been said, and you've actually answered it before, that like I think there was a narrative going around that Cornette saw nothing in you or barely used you, but you cleared it up on an earlier podcast. It's not that you felt that way; just you understand they had a big roster to work with. What was it like? Like, did you have a good relationship with Cornette? Like, that aside, like, did you feel that there was a lot of time spent between the both of you? No,
it was just like we would be in the same room together, and he would be offering his criticisms of matches and stuff, but like never much one-on-one time where he was giving me very specific instructions or anything. It was just kind of like he would be giving criticism to an entire room of people, and I would just happen to be there.
Mm-hmm. And that you think that mainly just because the volume of talent, and
yep,
and he would have had guys figured in at that point.
Yep. At the time, Brent Albright, Elijah Burke, I want to say Matt Morgan. Right when I first got there, I think Matt was there.
He left a nice comment for you on the channel, basically saying like what a genuine guy you are and all that. That's really cool.
I really had a great run with him in TNA when I first got there. So a lot of fun with him.
Huge guy. Jack.
Yeah.
You were also.
He's
Mhm.
he's like the mayor of some city in Florida now, I think, too.
Oh, amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You were there the day that Cornette slapped up Santino, right? And you've told the story and done a phenomenal impression. One thing that the world actually doesn't know, and it's up to you whether or not you want to say it, it makes no difference now, right? But Cornette believes that it was Santino that went and stooged to the office, right?
Yeah. It was Daniel Puter. It was my roommate. Remember, because like the thing is Daniel Puter didn't come up through the normal ranks. He didn't come up on the independent scene. He won a competition. And so he didn't really care about the politics of the business. And he was like, I saw a thing. Cornette slapped my friend around because he was good friends with Santino. He was like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna call." He told me, he's like, "I called the office. I stooged him off." And then it was, and then I believe it was he either called Tommy or Johnny directly. And once Johnny had that information, he was like, "It's a publicly traded company. We can't have that stuff. You got to go."
Which is ironic.
Which, to be fair, I think, yeah, which is ironic, right?
Right?
Knowing what we know now.
Right? Motherfucker.
This motherfucker.
He fired me.
To hear. Yeah, I'd love to hear. I would love to hear his take on that now.
Oh, man. I'm sure it exists.
But yeah, he was like, you got to go. And Paul Heyman came in. That was, we did not know who was coming. They were going to send somebody down that week because TV, has to keep, the machine's got to keep rolling. And it was Paul Heyman. And luckily that occurred. And he was a fan of mine and away to the races, right away. That first night, literally like 25, 30 minutes of that show was dedicated. Like I did a backstage segment. I think I did 2 backstage segments, plus a match, plus an in-ring promo. Kind of crazy.
And then see if you think about it, you know how like the butterfly effect. So if it wasn't for Daniel Puter, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have, maybe not have at the way you did, went to the main roster, right? Because Paul Heyman really took a shine to you. But Paul Heyman wouldn't have been in OVW and probably wouldn't have kept Punk around as long because they were telling him to fire Punk. Maybe Cornette would have, so we wouldn't have CM Punk, maybe not have had CM Punk at the level we have him. Think about that.
Yeah.
Which means we don't have so many different things. That's crazy when you think about it, right? So
it really is.
So Daniel Puter done more than try to tap out Kurt Angle, right?
Yeah.
Right? Craziness.
He hurt Cornette.
That is insane. So it's crazy.
What's something that rhymes with Cornette that like I hurt Kurt, something Cornette.
I hurt Kurt, I fucked Cornette.
Oh, it's got to rhyme with Cornette, goddammit.
I hurt Kurt, I'll need to come up with one. A safety net Cornette. I put a safety net on Cornette. Stop him slapping the shit out of people.
To ask ChatGPT.
Hell yeah. Something that rhymes with Cornette. That's a hard one. So yeah, you at this point then, so you're only in OVW for a very short amount of time, right? 6 months.
I want to say like 6 months, 6, 7 months.
Which
6, 7.
Oh no, you didn't. But is that quite like normal, or were you probably one of the fastest to come in and leave?
No, I think that was relatively fast.
Yeah,
and it was kind of interesting because it just happened. It was as though it happened overnight. It was like for the first 4 or 5 months, I was just struggling. Nothing was happening. And then 5 weeks after Paul Heyman got there, I was on TV.
Damn. And Paul Heyman has always been known to be someone that can see talent. When you look at the litany of people that he has ushered into the spotlight. I mean, it's no wonder that he gets that type of credit.
You know, the thing about Paul was that he was so good at hiding people's weaknesses and accentuating their positives, man. Like, I've said this before. There was a Chet the Jet. No, not Chet the Jet. Dean Visk was his name, and he was like kind of like the big jacked up dude. And he like cut this promo, and it was like a throwback to the 80s, like veins popping, spit flying, yelling, screaming, whatever. And Paul was like, I'm going to do something with that. And so he started doing these vignettes where like I remember one of the things that I was being interviewed backstage by Maria Kanellis. And just as the interview was coming to a close, you heard, ah, and the camera guy was like, whoop, gotta go. And ran down the hallway, and you watch as this camera guy runs down the hall, and then he's in there with a empty pot of coffee going, there's no coffee. And it was just like he started doing stuff like that week after week, and it was something he didn't have to wrestle, but he got over with the fans. It's obviously it's funny. You're laughing at it now. Like it's
amazing. It's amazing. So looking back on OVW, and this is a genuine question, do you feel like you could have skipped OVW and went straight to WWE and been Ken Anderson? Or do you feel that OVW molded and shaped you in a way that
really no, I needed a little bit of seasoning down there, and like to learn. I remember watching. So that last match that I did that I told you where I swantoned off the top of the cage.
Yeah.
Thinking like I was, I didn't think I was the shit. I knew that I had a lot to learn still, but I thought I was relatively well off in my knowledge. And like 3 months later, after I had been at OVW for 3 months, I got a hold of that video and I watched it and I was like, oh my God, that was terrible. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? It's amazing how much I learned in such a short period of time. Hey, I bent Cornette, or I sent Cornette.
I sent Cornette. Yeah, nice. So say it again. Say the whole rhyme.
I bent Cornette.
I hurt Angle. I hurt Kurt.
I hurt Kurt. I bent Cornette. I sent Cornette. I don't know.
yeah, that could work. Here,
that's why
a t-shirt.
Could be.
It was pewter. God damn it! Oh no!
Hey, motherfucker!
Anybody that's watching this now, that watches, which all you probably watch the drive-through experience with Jim Cornette, go and tell him it was Daniel Pewter, because I'd love to get his take.
Well, so the funny thing is like Santino thought it was somebody else the whole time.
That's right.
He also thought, because I remember I texted him and somehow it came up and he was like, I never knew that. I always thought it was. And he said whoever he thought it was.
Crazy. So Cornette, maybe Cornette and Santino can bury the hatchet now, because I think, like, even if you listen to the commentary from Cornette, he's like, that motherfucker. Like all he done was speed up the process of WWE firing me because they wanted me gone anyway. And then that little bitch stooged and got me fired.
Yeah, he didn't stooge though. He didn't.
What a revelation.
Just in the same way that like he probably could have whooped Cornette's ass.
Probably.
But he didn't. He just took it. No, he could have. Like, he just stood there and no, sir. No. I'm sorry.
Just got the visual of his hands by his side, just taking these paintbrushes. Well, what's the vibe after that? Like, because even if I'm in a workplace and a boss like tells off another member of staff for just being, and it's not quite right, like there's a vibe of like, yeah, fuck that guy. Was everybody kind of just like, here, that was out of order? The vibe?
No,
another day.
Yeah. When you've got Vince McMahon at the helm,
yeah,
it's like that's You expect that type of. That's just the wrestling business.
Yeah.
That was the wrestling business at the time.
Yeah. Craziness.
Just get cussed out. What the fuck are you thinking?
Damn. Tough love, right? Do you think, here's last question. Do you think that had Santino just taken it, went back, no one stooges, and next week we're back in the ring, do you think Cornette would have respected Santino and there could have been something there between the two, or do you think that was it?
No, I think if it was up to Cornette, Santino would have been gone,
Yeah.
He was pissed. Yeah.
I suppose.
Honestly, I could see him saying like, "You'll never fucking do that job again," and just, or he wouldn't have, he would have had a harder time impressing Cornette.
Yeah.
And finally getting into his good graces.
Because I think there's three people in this world that Cornette really despises: Trump, Santino, and the King Bro. When he says, I went for my morning Russo. He talks about taking a shit. He says, I went for my morning Russo.
Went for my morning Russo. I just heard that Cornette wants to send. So there was recently Donald Trump toured a Ford plant in Detroit, I think. And some guy yelled something to him, like called him a pedophile. And like one of the employees, and that guy got suspended. And I've heard Cornette say publicly that I want to send that guy $500.
Set up a GoFundMe. Oh man,
Cornette will be the first one to drop $500.
100%. Cornette is the gift that keeps on giving in wrestling, really in the podcast world. I don't even if I was on that list of people that he despised, I'd still love the guy purely just for the entertainment. Is there anything that we haven't covered in your time in OVW that you would like to give a special mention to?
No, I just had a phenomenal time there. I'm glad I did it. I learned a ton, and it was a very memorable, happy chapter in my life for sure.
Yeah, amazing. So. And it still exists now at the helm as Al Snow. Hopefully we get another season of Wrestlers on Netflix, but it'd be pretty.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully we see Al Snow with his own podcast. I know he goes on Vince Russo's, but I think some sort of wrestling wisdom show would be phenomenal. Here's an idea to pitch to him. Al Snow brings on former wrestlers that technically never made it, but you kind of saw. Brent Albright, right? Goes through the philosophy of wrestling and how to and how not to and stuff. That'd be a pretty amazing podcast. I would listen.
That would be great. That'd be fantastic.
For sure. So yeah, this has been us covering OVW, your time there. I'm sure at some point there'll be stories in the future episodes that you might have missed, but we'll most definitely cover them in the future. Coming up very soon, by the way, is a pro wrestling tees store for the podcast. If you guys have any ideas for designs that you'd like to see, please let us know, but that will be coming up very soon. Ken also has a pro wrestling tees store, www.prowrestlingtees/
Mr.
Anderson. And if you go ahead and buy one of his shirts from the store, please take a screenshot and send it to mrandersonshow@mail.com, and you will receive, maybe a week or two turnaround, but you will receive a thank you personally from Ken. So all we need is your name and the screenshot of what you bought, and this will result in Ken sending you a little video thank you, which would be amazing, because all the shirts there are the shirts that you guys remember from TV, and of course, like all the shirts go towards supporting your favorite wrestler.
Hell yeah!
Yeah. Of course, as well, if you want to join the academy, if you want to become a pro wrestler, Ken, what's the number?
507-722-2776.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've heard about Ken's journey of getting into pro wrestling, even if you did a seminar recently with Omar, and that was just like a heart to heart where the guy had kind of lost a bit of faith in the wrestling world, which I think most wrestlers do. So if it's something as simple as that, or you want to go over matches, anything, you don't have to travel all the way to Green Bay, Wisconsin. You can do it right here. So hit Ken up or message at mrandersonshow@mail.com, and we'll hook you up with that stuff. Ken, anything you would like to say before we head off?
No, I want to thank everybody for subscribing and tuning in and listening. And yeah, with that being said, the pleasure has been all yours.
Mike check with Ken Anderson.